Okay, so now we have the GBP USD. Simple. Let's look. All right. Interesting weekly resistance at that area, right? Pretty interesting over there. So that would be an area where I would look into a sell. It already touched it, so it went down. So if it respects that trend line, it should go back up in that zone to drop. But because GBP was low, this should be a short sell. So maybe the target price profit would be that area or that support level around here, right? But that wouldn't be too greedy on that trade. So it's still a couple of 100 pips that you could get off that trade. If it goes in that area. Now, if it passes and breakthrough, the next interesting weekly resistant level would be in that price range. That price range. There, you should expect maybe it's going to bounce, break that weekly resistance, and go on to the next one. And that area would be a good strong sell. Let's look at GbpJpy. Seems to be wanting to go up, right? Prices were pretty low. So in terms of position trading, that would be that area in which I would pay attention to for a sell. Right? So that would be a good area. This again, if you look here, this weekly resistance is interesting also. This weekly resistance is pretty interesting. If it enters that area, you could be interested in a quick sell, couple of 100 pips, right? So that area is an interesting area for a sell also. But the major drop will be around that area. This is where you could get the 500 plus pips This you could get a couple of 100 pips, 100, 200, 300, depending how it moves once it hits that area, if it doesn't break it. GbpAud. Well, if you follow the trend line, you see it's already going up. Trend is up. So, if you haven't entered this trade in the buy, you may try to enter on the pullback, which would be here. If it retests and drops, focus on that support level. Re-enters there. You can go for a buy again, and then at that level, you should be taking a lot of your profits, or most of your profits. But that's an area to look at. Okay. GbpCad. If you look at it on a weekly level, it's seems to be on a consolidation mode. So in terms of zones to look at for a buy, it'll be around that area, and then another for the resistance level. That area is interesting. And then you look at a weekly level to tying up the interesting areas. You could look at that area. You could look at that area for potential sell. But the trend is up on a weekly level. No, I mean, seems to be a weekly trend. So it may go up to here and then drop. So you have to look at your entry confirmation when it enters that area. Now we have, oh sorry, we already did GbpCad. Now let's look at GbpCad. GbpCad trend line. Seems to be going up. If it's following the trend line, the weekly trend line. Now, area where if you haven't entered, you could wait for it to break a sales trend line to enter. If you haven't entered yet, wait for it to break that trend line. It breaks that trend line, you could enter. And then you could look to take your profits around that area. Once it enters that area, you can take parts of your profits or be more aggressive and see if it breaks that resistant level, which I don't believe. It may go down afterwards, but that's an area to pay attention to once price enter that price action, right? Okay. CadJpy. This is an interesting. This is an interesting weekly support. So that would be an area I would look into for a sell. Let's say it decides to go down instead. It's pretty low. So if I look at terms of the monthly support, it already went at that low level, so I think it's going to be going up, right? So if you look at the level where you may consider entering in the trades, I would probably take a small trade in that area. A stronger sell would be taken in that area. As you can see, every time it touched that price, it dropped, went up like crazy, dropped like crazy. So basically, that area would be good for a strong sell. Now, if you look at Nzd Usd, I see a strong trend line, monthly trend line, which indicates, as you can see, it hit the trend line, so it's going to go down. It's going down, right? Already started going down. May go down for a while. But again, what are the areas that if prices go there, I should pay attention to. Once it enters that area, should look at what's going to happen. This would be a good area for a quick buy, or it may just be a buy and then break that trend line and then get into that stronger resistance, which would make a great sell. So those are the two areas based on the weekly resistance and support. So it's even a monthly, it's the same as it's a monthly resistance also. So this area is a great area to consider for a sell. This may be an area to consider for a pullback. After the pullback, to enter for a buy. That support level. So it may go down to that level, to that area, then go back up. So this may be a riskier entry, but that's still an entry to consider where you can get at least 50, 100 pips off of. So I wouldn't deny that area. NzdCad. Again, here is the weekly trend line. Right? Now, this is a good monthly resistance. Good monthly resistance. If it enters that, once it enters that area, or if it enters that area, this would be a good area that I would consider for a sell. In terms of the weekly, it already hit the weekly support resistance, right? So actually at the moment it's going down. If I were, where would I reconsider, try to re-enter a buy would be around that. Would be around that area. That area would be my best bet to re-enter for a buy. That area. So it goes down there, bounces back up to that area where you take a sell. Now, Nzdjpy. Now, let's look at it. Pretty much the same, right? Here's the trend line. trend line. Seems to be going down. This is a zone. But you can see this is a strong area where you should consider a buy. And this is where is a strong area to consider a sell. So it re-enters that support. Pay attention. It's most likely gonna bounce. So you should be able to get a couple of pips, and it may break that trend line. Breaks that trend line. Aim for that resistance level where it may be planning a nice drop. Last but not least, NzdChf. As you can see, the NzdChf was at an all-time low, right? For the last 3 months, it's been going up. Now, the area where I could consider a sell would be around here, around that area. This will be a good area for a good area for a sell. As you can see, this was a resistant level. It hit it, started going down. So if you zoom, in, prices are dropping at the moment. So that's a nice entry. If you got it. Because if you look at the trend line, it has hit the weekly trend line. So it's going to go down a little bit. Now, where would I be looking for a possible buy? Would be around that, actually within that support level, which probably will be soon. Right? So this would be kind of big, so to consider a sell, a buy, sorry, I would consider that support level. Well, that's all, folks. This is my analysis for the swing position trading in the market. All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening, guys. And let me know if you guys will be interested of me doing more videos like those. Thank you. Bye.